Alright, what's going on everyone? It's Mike's, and I've just been snorkeling, as you can see, out here in the river beside Washington DC, and I think I should bring you guys a builder video. I mean, it's been a little while since my last one. You know, Title Update 5 has already been out for like 5-6 weeks already, and you guys have been asking me video after video, well, come on man, show us the build, and I feel like I've finally got my build to the way, to where I'm happy with it. I'm happy with my build. There's really not much I can do to improve it. It still can be improved. Don't get me wrong, there were several different ways that I was looking to move the build to a point where I would be satisfied with, but I did finally get there. So let's get straight into it. We're using Survivalist for the most part. However, if you are running solo, you may want to use Gunner to take advantage of the medkit, because when you are hit down to low health, you often want to get back right to full health and even more, especially with the Eagle buff. If you are on the Eagle buff and you've taken damage, that Gunner medkit is going to save you more times than Survivalist will. However, Survivalist is still, it is equally as strong, quite honestly, and if you're in a team, you have to be using Survivalist, at least 2 of you. We are using the Eagle Bearer because it is the best gun in the game and the talent is just ridiculous. You guys will know what this does. For the secondary, I've dabbled with different weapons, different rifles, LMGs, and quite honestly, I'm just happy with an M700. I have Optimist, Allegro on there. Maybe you want other talents, I'm not really sure. You could try using a scope on here. I did, it's not too bad, but honestly I'd rather just use without a scope. It's scope could be very hit and miss. I feel like I don't hit my shots as much as I do without the scope. But yeah, the secondary isn't really all that important because the Eagle Bearer is so strong. Why would you use another weapon? I guess you could use something for when you're stuck in the, caught with the guy with low HP and you need to reload. You can swap weapons and use your secondary. For the sidearm, we'll be using any pistol, although the M1911 does seem to be the best DPS or best, damage to rate of fire combo in the game. Either that or I have a really good roll. You basically need this weapon to have Wascally, because people do use those gunner grenades, they stick you, or they use the foam launcher. Although, foam launcher usage has gone down a little bit, you will still see it, and you better be prepared for it, otherwise you're going to get stuck, get killed, and you're not going to be happy about it. We are running 3.11.7. It's the meta. I had been running up to this point a 2.11.8 because I didn't have this backpack, so I had it was actually, I think it was 3.11.8. I think I had a red here, and a red here. It was 3.11, no, it's 3.12 and 7 is what I was running for at the beginning of the patch. I had 5 Giller. I didn't want to have 5 Giller, I needed to get the Alps in there, but I didn't have the piece. Fortunately for me, a couple of weeks into the patch, I was given a piece, even though I found the piece the day after. It was basically a hybrid, yeah, I think it was this one right here. I was given this, and that allowed me to complete that, at least that stage of the build. However, I still wasn't complete, because I was running at that point 2 reds and not 3 reds. And even though one of my reds was only 1%, so I effectively was running 2 reds, I found this backpack, which was just, it's almost perfect. 76 recalibrated, and that allowed me to basically change my build from 3.12.7 to 2.11.8. I gained skill power, which meant I could then, on my chem launcher, upgrade from, I think, heal duration, and then 70% heal to like 90% heal, and then duration. I didn't have this 95 at the time, and so I managed to upgrade my build in a sense where I didn't lose any damage, but I gained healing. And trust me, when you get double heal on your chem launcher, it is a game changer. I'm telling you guys, it's completely different. If you do not have heals, you are going to lose to people who have good heals. As you can see, my skill power is basically maxed out. I have been quite fortunate, but it's also, right, if you got good healing mods, you got to spec for them. So eventually, after acquiring pieces, I kept telling you guys I'm delaying the build until it's perfect. It's not perfect, but it is complete. The build is complete. I'll be happy if I don't improve this build any longer. I'm completely content with it. So, what are we using? 4 Giller, Alps, Fenris. That's the meta. You can't really go any other way. If you want to compete, in the DPS department, yes, you can go skill build, and those are very, very strong. Definitely viable, definitely competitive, even superior in some instances. But if you want to go for an Eagle Bearer build, you got to go 3.11.7. We're using a mask here with skill power, spotter, and hazard protection. You could go with HP, but I thought let me get some hazard protection there for the times that I do get put on status effects. The mod will be a high chem launcher skill power, however this isn't that high due to the fact that I now roll empowered on my knee pads, so I can afford to lose a little bit of skill power that wouldn't have helped me anyway, and then go for the extra outgoing healing, which by the way works for all white armor gain. Yes, you heard that right. Outgoing healing works for white armor gain. If you have Unbreakable, a chem launcher, or a survivalist medkit, it's going to heal you for 15% because of survivalist, plus whatever you can get on your gear. So I have 3.5% here, and on my chest piece I have another 2.5%, so I have 21% total outgoing healing. My chem launcher heals me for 21% more than other people who don't run survivalist. For the chest piece we are using an iguana hornback, double blue red because it does have the yellow here, and that's going to be fairly good, reasonable armor rolls here, total armor, with the 15% weapon damage that I bought from the vendor, recalibrated at 99%. This piece is god roll. It cannot really come any better. If you want it more damage focus, some other people roll really low damage and then they roll really high armor. Some people have skill power on here, that's fine. If you have skill power on your chest, then you need to get damage on your backpack. Or, if you have skill power on your chest, you need to run an armadillo, because the armadillo comes with the red mod slot. There's a lot of ways you can juggle your pieces around to get the 311-7 without losing or sacrificing anything, but this is the way I am doing it at the moment. For the mods, of course we are running armor, total armor, armor, total armor, and then a chem launcher skill power. You always want to go for chem launcher because you want to max out your chem heal like I told you earlier. The stronger heals you have, the more armor you gain throughout the gunfight, and you will beat people who don't have heals even if you have inferior weapon damage or armor. As you guys are seeing here, this 415k armor that I have right here isn't that high. I'd say it's definitely on the lower end of what I would deem acceptable. It's lower than I want it to be, but other things are more important, like reaching a good chem launcher and having good weapon damage. For the holster, we are using Fenris, double yellow with precise. If you're on console, maybe devastating. Precise or devastating, not such a big deal either way. Obviously you want to roll high skill power on there, and you want the other one to be a yellow too, so you can reach the 7 yellow requirement for on the ropes. You really, ideally, I actually have like 800 skill power and like maybe 5 or 8 skill haste. Don't really need that much skill haste, but it does help to have. The reason I want higher skill power is I could afford to lose empowered and go for a slightly more armor based pair of knee pads. But let me get to the knee pads in a second. So we are using a big horn pack, which is basically the yellow-blue mod, and it's also yellow. So I have no damage on this backpack at all. You may be thinking, why you got the damage? You don't need it. You just need to get 311-7, sources of which you have multiple choices. So I'm running the 22% armor roll that I showed you guys last week how to get on the backpack. I've rolled it onto this piece, so that's now what I'm running. Pretty average armor roll and skill power. I would like for this skill power to be higher. Technically speaking, if it rolled higher skill power, same armor and a lower base blue that it rolled, I could have used this 22% to reach a higher recalibration score. So technically speaking, this piece could have been, higher base armor or higher skill power, which could have also solved my earlier problems in trying to finish this build. Of course, on the ropes and hardened, if you don't have that, trash it. Find a piece that does have on the ropes and hardened. For you, that might be the vendor piece that everyone's running. And of course we are running a super high 510 total chem launcher skill power mod and an armor and total armor mod. For the gloves, we're using climbing gloves. I had to use hybrid gloves, which is basically the same pair but with the yellow mod slot instead of the red one, so that I could reach my skill power requirements, not my yellow requirements but my skill power requirements, so that I could have the really strong chem launcher. This is about as good as a pair of climbing or hybrid are going to get. It's around 21k armor, is about the most you can get with 11% damage, because you have to roll compensated, because Alps gloves do not roll with compensated, so you have to roll the talent. If it did roll with compensated, you could look for a piece with really high base armor and then re-roll the weapon damage on, using up your recalibration points, which would make the build stronger, but it simply doesn't roll that way. It cannot be done. And of course, for the offensive system firearm mod, we're using a 6.5 total percent, with 2 of those being damage to armor, which is what you want. You definitely want to max out your DTA. And for the knee pads, we are running Gila knee pads, of course, but as you can see right here, we are just shy of the 30k and just shy of the 11.5 or 12% total armor. Reason being, I had to roll the talent because Gila does not roll with empowered. I had to roll empowered, and so getting these two maxed out is basically impossible. The only way you do max these out is if you find it with really high base armor, the talent you want, and then you roll this up again using your recalibration points. But seeing as the gloves and the knees are basically the only pieces in the game that roll with one stat, it's okay to roll the talent because you don't really lose that much from not using up your recalibration points. And of course we are using my two best armor and total armor mods. You might be thinking they're not very good. I don't have the greatest ones, unlucky, but they're still very good anyway. Of course, I would like to use something like this, 29.4 and 12% with insulated, but I do need the skill power. If I can find the skill power, all I need is 75 skill power and I can put these knee pads back on, because that's how short I am from reaching the higher chem heal of 2875. I can get 2799 without this pair of knee pads. It's really unlucky. It's a really tight fit there, but I've managed to make it work. For the pulse, just standard, skill haste. It's not really much else you want to run, but yeah, it's title update 5. 311.7 is the way forward. 500 gear score. Eagle Bearer build. 4 Gila, 1 Amps, 1 Fenris. That is the build. Cheers guys for watching. And oh, one more thing. Sorry. Jesus Christ, stat sheet. I'm not going to talk about it. Just look. There we go, that's that sheet. Boring, pointless. Nice scenery though. Let's go bowling again.
Sneaky bastard.
Push out. Come here.
An agent needs assistance. Detecting contaminated gear. Rogue agent neutralized.
What the fuck?